Hey, everybody, welcome to KISS.
Keep it simple, sister.
Okay, so I'm not saying hi, Diana. She's not saying hello, Samantha. We're not doing that. In fact, I think this should be just a 3-minute video because this is our third time trying to record it. The first time we successfully, no,
It was beautiful. It was so good.
it was such
It
a
was
good
so
podcast.
good. It was a little long, but it was so good.
And
And then,
What did Samantha do?
well, it's not your fault. I should have been monitoring the situation. Samantha forgot to press record. And so it was really good, though. And so the flip side is that we get to spend more time together. That's one thing. And also, what we're going to be talking about is tarot and Zen tarot and oracle cards and stuff like that. And she was showing some examples, and they were beautiful. But when she brought them back down, it got a little bit of blurry. So now we know you will not have to experience that like you would have had
Yeah,
we actually recorded
yeah.
50 minutes worth of podcast.
Oh my
We
God, yeah.
did. It was so good. Okay.
Sigh. Okay, so I'm going to say this really quick that Diana and I are here to welcome you to the KISS podcast, where we share the tips, tricks, techniques, and products of all of the amazing years we've spent doing crap like this and screwing up and then finding a way to bounce back and be super, duper positive. Um, Oh, wait. And we didn't say that the second time we tried to record the podcast, I did hit record, and the moment after I hit record and did the intro, the lights went out,
And she
literally
went
on
like
my
this
side. Yeah. Yeah.
for a long time. But
Hmm.
we're going to try this again for real
Yeah.
this time.
I just feel like we got to get
For
it
real,
all
for
in
real.
super quick. Um, okay, you guys. So, um, we walk our talk, we can recover. So what has us doing this particular exciting podcast for the third time today is that I'm going to be doing a course in January 7th, called Zen Tarot. And this is all about developing the love language between you and your spirit guides. So this is a great opportunity to work on your intuition and have the guidance in order to do so. And there's a lot of people have said, "How do you do tarot? I want to do tarot. Can you do a tarot course?" So for the
And I'm
people,
one of them. And I'm
yeah.
one of them. And I keep asking her, can we do like a demo tarot, whatever? Because it was kind of Samantha's gateway into her intuitive abilities.
Hmm.
And one of the first times that we met in person, we stayed in a hotel room and she did my tarot, which was so, so cool. And it was my first real experience with her or with anyone using their intuitive abilities to do stuff. So I want my intuitive abilities to come through, maybe, allegedly,
Allegedly.
kind of, maybe. I don't know. Maybe. But I'm excited about the course. So I will definitely be in it. I will be in it to win it with Samantha. But we also were talking about my friends Amy and Cherokee have been helping me with all other aspects, some other aspects of the stuff, the things, the crystals, the Reiki, the all of the stuff.
Metaphysical stuff.
But Oracle card. So we went to a crystal store, but it was really a metaphysical store, I guess. I was looking for a pendulum, and um we there was a whole wall of tarot cards, oracle cards, maybe some other kind of cards, I don't know. And I was trying to see which one spoke to me, and my friend Amy said, you don't want the tarot cards, look on this section with the oracle cards. So that's what I got, two sets of oracle cards. But I was asking Samantha, like, what's the difference between oracle cards and tarot? And so we figured that would be a cool way to introduce you to the Zen Tarot course that's coming up.
Yep. I love that. Perfect. So the main difference is, um, let's see, um, with the tarot cards, think of it as that they are they're an agreed upon language. Like the symbology and all of the cards has been formulated, agreed upon, like it's like a thought form that's come into fruition because over, centuries, people have, well, I don't know how long, but they've been agreeing to that, that the major arcana cards, which are the major parts of life, that those mean something, and then the different suits and the different pictures that, the symbols used, that they all mean something specific. So when you have that, it's kind of like how people say, watch out for black cats, they're bad, or something.
Yeah, yeah.
And so that's become like this thought form unto itself, this energy unto itself. Black cats are no different than any other cat, but we've created this thing. Well, so with tarot, we've created this thing where there's an agreed upon symbology, and we have that in dream, interpretation and lots of different areas. So it's no different than any of that.
Auras, all of the things.
Yeah, the different colors and
Uh-huh.
numerology and all of that.
Mhm.
So with that being said, it is literally because it's an agreed upon thought form, it becomes this incredible what do I want to say? Like I keep wanting to say intuit, and that's not what I'm trying to say. It's a great way of creating that connection with your guides because you'll have this agreed upon symbology that they're able to point you in one direction or another. And so it makes it easy as you're starting out to begin to ask complex questions and get responses. So,
And one of the things that you said in the multiple other podcasts that we did about this was that it's a tool. It's one of the many tools that kind of help us open up to connect with our higher selves, with our
mhm.
guidance.
Exactly. Yeah. And I love that because, some people are just tapped in, tuned on, tuned in, turned on kind of thing. And all of a sudden you're just up and running with it. But a lot of us don't trust the information coming through. And so having this kind of separation between the two, and they're so lovely and all that stuff that it just helps you to sort of move into that space.
Yeah, and for most people, it's not a snap turn on, "Hey, okay, my people are telling
It
me this,
takes
this, and that." I
practice.
mean, it's at least it's for me, it's been a progression, and I'm still not there yet.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about the course because I want to get there.
I like how you said that. So, historically speaking, with tarot, it started off by, you just look at a deck of cards. So you would have diamonds, clubs, spades, and hearts. And those, like you'd have two of diamonds, and that would represent something. You'd have the queen of hearts, and that would represent something. So they all started, it started with that origin. And then somebody decided, wouldn't it be lovely to like take the symbols, the meanings of the cards and create these pictures and the symbology to go along with it and everything, which made it kind of like a cheat then. It became easier to read it,
Right.
and sometimes it has the words and the meaning on the bottom of it. And a lot of times it just, you just see that there's two wands, so you know what that means.
Uh-huh.
Um, Hopefully that makes sense what I'm saying. When you've said this stuff three times, like third time, you're hoping it's getting across.
Ah,
Anyway,
what I really liked about the other 2 times was that you showed the different kinds decks of cards that you have and the differences of them and kind of explained why there are different decks
yeah.
and, what's going on with all that.
So
I found that very interesting, and I think
yes.
everyone else will too.
Okay. So, there is the traditional, like if you're beginning, and an instructor says, hey, go, these are the cards you need to get, they're going to suggest the Rider Waite deck. And the reason why is because, and so we'll keep referring back to this card as I show you these things, but the Rider Waite deck, it's very specific. There are not many colors between, like they just utilize a couple of colors throughout the whole deck because the colors have meaning. Um, and the symbology within the card has meaning. And so no matter what deck you go to, the colors can shift, but and some of the symbols may or may not be representative, as we're going to see. But this is the basics. This is your
Got it.
baseline. You know, all of the elements that are necessary are represented here.
And it looks very scary from my perspective.
Yeah.
There's
Okay. So the
fire, 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 and people are flying out of the tower, and there's a crown, and there's fire, and there's lightning, and what does that mean?
my God. So the tower represents drastic change, major change, sudden
Okay.
change. Okay.
But it doesn't necessarily have to be a fire or people flying out of windows.
Exactly. And so, you know, for
So it's
well,
not literal, it's figurative.
exactly. It's what gets you to say the thing that is indicating that there's big changes, not little changes. These are big changes,
Okay, got it.
and sudden rapid changes. So, you know, when I'm looking at this, like the card, certain symbols pop out at me more so than other times. So like, you know, again, like if we were just using cards in a deck, it would be more challenging to come up with the meaning. Whereas here we can look at a picture and go, I get the gist of what it's saying here. But even as I look at this card, different things can be apparent to me rather than at other times. So like, you know, I was explaining the last time that that like I don't normally look at these little like they're kind of like little sparks of flames or whatever, but to me they're like tears. For some reason they come across as tears. And so I would say that there's upset around this sudden change. But I've never noticed that before, but because I'm showing it to you this way, I'm noticing it. So I think that's really kind of cool.
The
And
different things jump out at you depending on who you're reading
exactly.
for.
Yep. Yep. So then, so this is the traditional deck.
Okay.
Then we have the deck that I'm going to be recommending for the course that I'm doing. And this was called, it's called the Hanson Roberts deck. But for some reason I misunderstood it. And I remember going in and asking for this deck at the store. And I'm like, do you have the Handsome Robbers deck? And she's like,
I would want a handsome robber's
I
deck.
know, like, you know, you would just figure there'd be really sexy kind of, you know,
Yeah,
pirates and stuff.
yeah.
But anyway, so I'm trying to keep this up. Yeah, there. So the Hanson Roberts deck, to me, it has more color, more flow. It's a little bit more, it's a little softer and a little bit more animated. And to me, it just gives more of a warm, fuzzy feel. So this is the Hanson Roberts deck. Now, if you're looking at that, you see that there's still a tower. There's still three windows, which doesn't usually mean anything to me, but it might mean something to you as you're doing a reading. There's the crown, there's the two people that are falling. But if you notice, like in one, there's a moon, and the other one, there isn't, you
They
know.
both have clouds, and the handsome robber's deck doesn't look like people flying out. It looks like maybe some ripped paper, somebody threw their dress out the window, something like that.
Hmm. So there's a variety in these cards that will cause you to like it'll just kind of nudge you or tap you or get you to say something a little bit different than what you might have said had you looked at a different deck. Um, okay, so then the next deck I got, again, I heard it incorrectly, went into the store. The person there must think I'm an idiot because I asked for the Robin Hood deck.
Handsome
He's a
robbers,
robber too.
Robin Hood. It all makes sense.
Yes, it wasn't the Robin Hood, it's the Robin Wood deck.
Okay.
So the Robin Wood tarot deck, it's kind of got that animated feel,
Hmm.
but you notice it's a little bit different. Is there a moon in that? Yeah, you can see a little bit of a moon. So there's a moon, and is there a moon? I think up
Um,
above is a
I
moon.
don't, maybe up at the top. I don't know.
Yeah, but you still have the flames. You still have the tower.
That one to me looks like there's like raging water behind it,
It does. I
which is completely different than the cliff on the other one for me. So
Mhm.
that that may, a different kind of tumultuous something,
Exactly. You wouldn't think
right?
tumultuous with this, but you would think with this.
Yeah.
Ooh, it's already working on Diana. Yay. So, so this is another one that I like to use a lot.
Uh-huh.
The only thing about this deck that I would not use with beginners is the fact that a lot of the cards have more of a, they're a lot more intense. Um, I'm going, ooh, I can't show that one on here. So some of them show very graphic body parts.
Oh, interesting.
hmm
So
it's
if you want the Smexy deck, that's the one you
yeah.
want.
So it's
Oh, wow. Yeah.
yeah, but do you see how that's so much more like it's so intense?
Yeah.
Is that focusing?
Yeah.
I need, yeah, I have to hide my face in order
Yeah.
for it to focus. So it's just
Yeah.
it's much more
But interestingly, it had swords on it, it had wands on it. So if that's one of the overarching things, if you see swords, it means whatever, or wands, it means whatever.
Mhm,
Pentacles and all of that. But we'll learn all of that in the Zen Tarot course. So I'm excited
exactly.
about that.
Because yeah, I'm not going to go into all of that here because I want to keep us
Yeah,
on
yeah, yeah.
track and give y'all a flavor of what all this is about.
Yeah.
So then some people like me, I go in and I see all of these decks and I'm like, oh, this is pretty. And you buy decks thinking, oh, this is going to be wonderful. And then you end up having trouble reading them because they're just so kind of outside the purview of the other ones. I mean, the picture's still there. But some of these, like I'm going to show you examples of the tower in these next two decks, which is easier with the major arcana because the words are there. But when you're just
Uh-huh.
starting off and you're looking at a deck that it has, it's just like two of wands, some of them don't illustrate as much. Like, or it's harder to understand what it is you're supposed to be getting from it. So these two decks, again, hide myself. These two decks are the medieval deck and the Scapini deck. It's the Russian tarot deck. So, like, there is so much to these. They're both still the tower, and there's still two people falling, I believe. Um,
Yeah.
Still chaos, but
Well,
it's
and what's interesting to me is that the other ones that you showed just said the tower, and these both say the falling tower.
ah,
I don't know
okay.
if you
Like
ever
the
noticed
House of
that. So
Cards
is
coming
that
down.
different? Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Because a piece of the tower was falling off of one of them, and in those other ones it wasn't. It was just the people falling out of the tower. So that's interesting to me.
Yeah, it
Like
would
the
cause you to
whole
say
and in
different
my mind, okay, look, I'm going. In my mind, is it that it's falling apart
things. Hmm.
as well as a big change? Like, it's a big change, but it's falling apart and you'd have to rebuild it.
Hmm.
Possibly.
Yeah. So it's you get so much from all of these, like the
Yeah, it's
variety. And
interesting.
so once you get used to your cards, it's like sometimes you get into a rut and you need different impulses, different imagery. And you also kind of want to challenge yourself because different drawings and so forth will cause you to say different things. And there's some decks like I don't have that I cannot relate to, like the Thoth deck. I always thought that was such a weird way to say it. Thoth. Um, but I can't even describe it. Like it's just, I look at it and I have no idea what it's trying to tell me.
Well, and
So
if it doesn't speak to you, it's not the right tool, correct?
exactly. But there's a lot of people who've been doing tarot forever. I mean, I've been doing it over 35 years. But I like the pretty illustrations. I don't like the mystery of the cards, I'm
Right,
just
right. Well, and
okay,
again, it's what speaks to you.
yeah. And this is
And each person's a little different.
exactly, and this is a tool. I like the soft, warm, fuzzy tools as
Yeah.
opposed to so as an example of the soft, fuzzy tools, this is the kitty cat deck. I'm sure it has a different whatever to it. I don't know what else to call it. It's a bunch of
And it
cats.
just says the tower. It doesn't say the falling tower at the bottom.
Hmm.
And Samantha, if you guys don't know, is a cat lady for sure. She rescues cats, she fosters cats, she loves some cats. And so I can see why that oh, yeah, that why those would really draw you in.
So when looking at this deck, now we've got what? Are there three cats or there two cats?
Three. There's one that looks like he's landing on his feet, and there are
Mhm.
two that are upside down falling. One's a little
Okay.
darker, one's a little
So
lighter.
what would this card make you want to say?
Although things are really rapidly changing, you're gonna land on your feet. It's all gonna be okay.
Yeah, so everything, like it's all designed for a certain, to elicit a certain response. And the thing is, you can pick cards half a dozen times. And if somebody's asking a specific question and you're trying to answer it in different ways, you're going to keep coming up with essentially the same response. Like you can mix the
Interesting.
deck and still come out with the exact same cards. It's crazy. But it's all designed, for you to, for your guides to get across to you that which you most need to know in that moment. So it's very, very effective. Now,
And you've done it for so long, like you've seen that happen over and over again. So that's really interesting.
exactly. Well, and so I tell people, when I work with a deck, when I'm doing a tarot session. So Kim Davies was my mentor, and she was absolutely amazing. And she taught me the way that I teach, that I'm going to teach my course, which is, you learn the meanings of the cards, and we're really going to get into the symbology, the numbers, the suits, what the major arcana is, what the minor arcana is, and give you that foundation. And then we're going to let you create your own meanings with your own symbols. So
Okay.
you might, one card might mean something specific, and another card, and another time that card might begin to start to morph into something else for you. And that's okay, because that's a love language you're creating with your guide. That's the meaning for you.
Yeah.
And your guides will make sure that you have that card in hand when it's necessary, like, when that's what they're intending for you to say. um and there'll be cheat sheets and so forth, so that you'll get a little bit more assistance with looking up real quickly, and you'll be able to make your own cheat sheet and stuff.
Uh-huh.
But the way that the typical way to utilize these is that you can sit there in the morning and just, like, spread the deck out and then pick three cards. You always have to put the intent out there, the same as with the oracle cards, which I'll go over in a minute. But you put the intent out of, like, what do I most need to know about my day? Or, is this the day that I'm going to get the raise? Whatever question.
Uh-huh.
It's, hold on. It's better not to ask yes and no questions. Use a pendulum for that.
Uh-huh.
Um, Pendulums are more 20 questions kind of thing. Yes, no, maybe. Um, these are going to give you more specific answers. Okay. They're going to indicate people, the types of people. They're going
So
to
the
talk
question
about,
that you ask is, what do I most need to know about the
yes.
a situation, or just what do I need to know today?
Yeah, what questions, not, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So,
Not if, what?
yeah. And so with these cards, you are, what was I going to say? Okay, so that's the typical, like, you would spread it out in front of you, pick three cards, and you can always pick another one if you need to clarify, if you're unsure. And sometimes people will see me picking a couple of cards that give me the idea of what's going on, and I'll throw another card and then I'll just go, yeah, that doesn't apply. And they're kind of
Uh-huh.
going, but it's this. And I'm like, yeah, but I know that the energy shut down. So I'm not supposed to
Uh,
even consider that,
yeah.
or
Interesting.
it needs to go with another set. Like, as you do this, you just get a feel for it, and you start going into this whole kind of dance or rhythm with the cards. So when I do a reading, um, the very first thing that I'm saying, because I think we talked about this last time, um, like, it's not my responsibility to interpret this for you. Do you remember that?
Yes, yes. You're just giving the info, and if you're doing the reading for me or the session for me, it's my job
Mhm.
to interpret that in whatever context I need it.
Exactly. And so I generally say, I'm creating a picture of your life. I'm looking for you to say yes, no, maybe. And, or, if you need
Need more
clarification,
clarification.
and it's up to you to take any of the information I give you and apply it to the person, places, things in your life.
Right.
And so I am going to simply, my job is only to interpret what's coming down. And it's harder when you have girlfriends or you're doing it for, like, family members, because you know their lives. So you
Yeah.
start going, oh, remember like that light-haired guy? That's got to be what this card is talking about. And you really have to step back from that and just be like, you know, hey, there's a fair-haired person that's coming into your life and blah, blah, whatever. Um, so I will generally like paint a picture of their life in the first one, it's just kind of what's going on. I'll do another spread that's like the different areas of their life. And then the third one's usually just spreading them out and it's Q&A just to get clarification of anything I didn't touch upon or that you're unsure about or whatever.
Right.
And so going through that process, it's pretty interesting because this is kind of what had me step away from tarot a little bit more and go more into my intuitive abilities without the deck.
Uh-huh.
One was that I'd always have to carry a deck on me. And then I'd have to find a surface that didn't have any water, that was clean, that I could lay the cards out on.
Yeah.
So, and it felt like a crutch. And so I wanted to be able to connect with my guides without that. So I did step away from it at some point. But what I also found out was that I could do a spread and it was interesting, but 70% of it was, kind of, it was really having to do more with what's going on in your life. There were some interesting facts over here, but 70%, and then like 35% of it or whatever was, repeated over and over again. So like I would have said the same things about career or whatever. It might be in different areas, but it was kind of repetitious.
Uh-huh.
And then I found that really 10% of it really nailed what was most important to that person. The real reason why they came to see me or why their guides kind of nudged them to make an appointment.
Uh-huh.
And had I started with that 10% and just said to the person, like I always say, so what caused you to decide to have a session with me? That's how I start sessions now. And they'll
Uh-huh.
say, well, I was trying to sort through this issue I'm having. So instead of me just doing all the cards and finally getting to that and having no time at the end, I now ask that at the beginning and we can run with it. But still, having the spreads and going through the cards when you're doing it for yourself or when you're getting up and running with and trusting your guides and stuff, it's such a wonderful tool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Remember I said it's my gateway drug.
Well, and you have she held up the whole pile of how many tarot decks do you have in front of you?
Two, three, four, five, six, seven. I have seven.
7 tarot decks. Well, and like when I went in for my crystal thing, I bet there were 100 tarot decks, and one is more interesting than the next, than the next, and the next. So I can see why you would want to have more than one.
Yeah, I mean, there's special interest decks there. But so here's the difference, like again with tarot versus oracle, is that the tarot it's an organized system. Like you're always going to have, you should, the same number of cards. You're always going to have a major arcana, a minor arcana. You're always going to have some of the basic elements symbolized in the decks,
Uh-huh.
unless it's a faceless deck, which happens. But it's you're really just picking up a new deck because it's pretty, it speaks to you, and it might cause you to change
It's
some of the
novel.
collection. It's novel,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So then with Oracle,
Which
or
was my big question. Can I show my oracle cards? So I went to the store for the crystals, and then I saw all the tarot, and then I saw all the oracle. And my friends Amy and Cherokee have been doing oracle cards for me, which was so, so cool. Um, but I tried to see, and Samantha always says about the crystals, they'll speak to you. You'll know which ones. Same thing with the oracle cards. So I got this one that is the ancient stones, but I
Mhm.
really like the colors, and I thought it was just
Bring it
beautiful.
down a little lower. There
It's
we go.
really,
I
really
can see a Rebecca
pretty,
Campbell.
and it's got a cool box because it
Mhm.
goes like this, and then you can put the thing in there and the thing, and I like the cool. Okay, and I was just gonna get one, and then I saw this one, and I was like, oh no, I have to have this one too, and that's where the whole addiction of all of it comes. But this is the other one. It's gorgeous,
Hold it up a
and
little
it's
higher, pull back a little bit. There we go.
Spirit of the Animals Oracle, and
So pretty.
some
I
I love.
love the dragonflies.
Yes,
I'm
me
gonna
too.
have to get that Spirit of the Animals. I gotta write it down. I gotta have
By
that down.
Jody Bergsma, Bergsma.
And so the main difference with using the oracle cards is that it's really it's author, creator, designer, dependent.
Yeah.
They decide what the meanings of the cards, what the subject matter is, and then what the meanings of the cards are going to be. And if it's something like, okay, so this is what the Goddess Tarot. So they're pulling, they're going to do the research and make sure that they're gathering all of the goddesses and the true representation of them, and then how to interpret, like their take on the interpretation, which is generally the collective meaning behind what that goddess stood for.
Uh-huh.
Same as
And
with,
then usually it'll say on the card just a couple words. And
yeah,
then there's a little book or booklet or whatever that goes with it. So Samantha, because she's so open to her guides and to getting the message, she doesn't like to look at the book.
uh-huh,
I like to look at the book because my guides aren't speaking through me yet. Um, and that's the way it was presented to me. But when they read the book, the stuff from the book, in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, well, that applies to this. Well, that applies to that. Yes,
mhm.
that's right on time. Yep, that's what I'm dealing with now. What do you want
Always,
to tell me?
always applicable. Yep.
Yeah.
And so it's really fun because in this other podcast that I do with my friends Will and Allison Brown, it's the Out on a Limb podcast. And we do more metaphysical stuff over there on the regular. Like we just dabble in it here, but over there. So we've gotten into reading oracle cards once a month. And so we'll do like the month ahead via oracle cards. And then also, we'll do a reading for each of us will take a turn at doing a reading for an audience member. Like we're just like somebody out there needs to hear this. And so when we're pulling the cards, I mean, sometimes we'll look at the book, but generally we're just picking the cards and stating, hey, this is how we're interpreting it. Oh, and what's really cool, which I didn't mention in the last podcast that never recorded, was that each of us will sit there and read for maybe the month or maybe, individual people out there. But no matter what we've read, all the cards, even though they're each from a different deck, it'll make a story. It'll make sense.
Oh, that's cool.
I
So
mean, like,
that's really cool.
yeah, it's
I can't
that's
wait
the
to go check that
synchronicity.
out. So it's Out on a Limb podcast,
Hmm.
which they interview people, they talk about metaphysical stuff. It's a very, very interesting place to be. But if you have to choose, you have to choose the Kiss podcast. But if you have more time, then check out both of them. I don't think Allison would agree with me, but whatever.
Oh my goodness.
I love Allison. Don't get me.
Well, so with these, you just there's these are all tools. There's nothing negative or bad or like, I've had people literally, I've done tarot readings at, events and stuff like that, and had people come up to me and say, those are of the devil and stuff like that. No, they're not. You could say they're divination tools. And I don't that just saying the word like has such a context to it, negative.
Connotation.
Yeah, like I
Connotation.
hate that.
Well, but I think it all goes back to religion and the patriarchy and the whatever of they needed something to control you and control your thought. So just like the black cat or just like whatever, they gave it a negative connotation when it doesn't need that.
Exactly. Well, and then they could control you. They didn't want you getting that information on your own, like skirting around them.
Right. They
It's
wanted it to come directly from them. Yeah, that makes sense.
Mhm.
So the other thing that I think of with the difference between the tarot and the oracle cards is tarot is more broad, more information about a subject from different aspects, it seems like to me. And
Okay.
then the oracle cards are more like I ask a question and I get an answer. So hit it and quit it on the oracle cards, more broad on the tarot. Am I kind of
Yep.
representing that
And I remember
correctly?
when you said hit it and quit it. I love that. Because like, okay, so a lot of times I haven't done this and I've thought, oh, maybe I'll start doing this. Because I was really biased towards tarot cards and I really didn't like oracle cards because everyone was reading everything literally and it was driving me crazy. And then I realized, okay, simmer down, Aries. Um,
Simmer down now. Well, and I hope I gave you a little perspective just because I've done them with somebody else
you
when they were
have.
doing them. And it's the way we decided to do it, or maybe they learned it from somewhere or whatever.
Hmm.
But it worked for me like your intent
Yes.
was.
It's
So I
always
thought
the
that,
intent.
yeah.
Well, so, it's nice to do a tarot spread and then follow it up with pulling, a card. Like it's just kind of a special, warm, fuzzy. I mean, they're generally very positive, very insightful. Though I
Mhm.
have seen some that are like, ooh, like hey, get you towards a good
Straightforward,
time,
and
get
you
rid of
need
them.
to know this right now.
Well, and like earlier today, Diana pulled one for me, and it was the grizzly bear. And it is the mood that I am in, very protective over those that are under my umbrella, that I see as, my charges, my responsibility. And I was like, wow, you couldn't have picked a better card. Like, I mean, it was
Oh, and it's
exactly how I was feeling.
always right on time. Like it's right on time.
Yeah, it's not gonna be next week. It's gonna be right now. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
which makes it
Exactly.
super fun.
Yes.
Um,
All right. So back to the Zentero course.
oh yeah.
In one of the other podcasts that we didn't record, that we thought we were recording, um, you were describing like kind of the layout of it, like when it's going to happen and how
Oh,
long and that kind of thing.
okay. So this should come out like mid-December. So you'll have about 2 weeks. So if you get Christmas money, you can still join, however it works. But it's going to start January 7th. It'll be on Tuesday evenings, I believe at 6 o'clock. They will be recorded. There's 5 classes to go through all this stuff, but I may add a sixth or a seventh depending on how fast we go. This is the first time I'm actually offering this. And it actually is really intensive. Um, but it's going to be really fun. So there's
I'm
like,
excited about it.
there are going to be elements to it that will tell a story. So it helps you remember, like what you're learning and help you to get more insightful with all of this. You don't need a deck if you want to take the course and then wait and see about buying a deck. But, if you're going to practice and play with it, then you need to have a deck. But I will have a representation of the tarot card. It's not going to look great because they're kind of rough facsimiles because I don't have permission to use them, so it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I'm just kind of uh, asking for forgiveness. So you might, I highly recommend that you get the deck. When you sign up, I do recommend doing the Hanson Roberts deck because to me, again, that's the warm fuzzy deck. Uh, and there'll
I'm
be plenty of
getting
time
a
for
handsome
practice.
robbers one for sure.
I know it's really cool. Handsome Roberts. Um, so you got time to sign up for that. The link will be down below. Is that everything about I think that's everything about the course.
Yeah, I think so. And I'm really excited about it. I'll be there. Can't wait to see other people join us. It's gonna be fun.
Well, so remember we got the other stuff going on there. We're doing the life design group experience. That's on Wednesday evenings, 6 p.m. It is free. It is open to everyone who is a member of the KISS podcast group. In that, we are I'm sharing specific concepts to open you up, help you to be aware, tools that like actually utilize the tools, and then there'll be time for discussion. So you can bring your questions. Say you're stuck on something, you're trying to sort something out, and so it's really helpful to have that Q&A time. And sometimes that's going to be at noon on Wednesdays, and sometimes but more often than not, it'll be at 6. So you've got to
You'll
pay.
know by looking at the in the KISS podcast group
Mhm. If
Facebook
you,
page.
yeah, if you look under events, I'm gonna switch. It'll be the events that'll say what day it is, and then I'll also do a post to let you know. Um, and so we have that. Anything else?
Just we need you to like and subscribe and share and invite your friends to the podcast, the KISS podcast. group. Um,
And
it's
like
been
sticking
a
your tongue out at our
long
people.
day. Yeah, and we want your people to be our people, to be your people, to be. Let's all do this
Share
together.
the love, listen to me. Oh, you guys, we're so grateful to get through this recording and have it work. And I'm almost scared
The
to
other two were
tell
really
anyone.
good too, but sorry you missed it.
Yeah, so if we sound rushed through and all that stuff, because I noticed we were doing that a little bit, our apologies. We were trying to come under time. We didn't. Um, so I think we got everything out there that we had intended the
I
first
think so
time.
too.
Yeah.
Or the
Uh,
second,
for the
but
second.
now the third. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
You guys, this is going to be
finished.
fun. So please join us with the Zen Tarot and come into the group and share your thoughts and feelings. We love this. This is fun.
Yes, definitely. All right, we will see you guys next time.
Bye.